Hi guys, it's Kim. I'm back again with another weekly cross-stitching update. Today is the 16th of November 2020 and this is video number 95. Welcome back. I worked on to make up for last week only having 2 pieces. I have 4 pieces to show you this week. So first of all, if you hear any noises, I have the dog in the room and the door is open, so you might hear Hopper making some noise. I finished my page on A Summer Ball by Sandy Littlejohns. Again, if you want this pattern, look below. This website is no longer good. So look below. You can go to her Facebook group, or the link for this particular chart is below. So I finished the page. I did 1,600 more stitches since last week. And so now, it's like around 3,200, slightly more than 3,200 full stitches in this piece for the month. And I split that up into 2 different words for Full Coverage Fanatics Wheel of Fortune event for the month of November. I used it for winter and snow. Now, had I taken my middle picture at a slightly different point, I could have used it for larger words and not wasted 1,500 stitches when I only needed 1,000 for snow for 250 per letter, but it works. Okay, so there is slightly over half the piece, because on this side the halfway mark is like 1 block of 10 that way, so it's one column of 10 more than halfway done. So that's 3 pages, 3 more to go. And if you watch my I don't know if I've mentioned it in last week's regular video or in the goals video, I'm going to try to finish this not next year but the year after, so 2022. So for next year I'm going to aim for 1.5 pages, and then 2022 to finish it will be another 1.5 pages. So there's the entire thing, and then I'll bring you in closer on the page that I finished. Now, until I looked at the pictures that I had taken, I didn't realize what was going on up here. I thought these were really weird clouds. And I'm like, duh, that's the chandelier in front of the painting. That's not a really weird sky, but when you're working on finishing that painting and you're looking at it close up, and I was stitching it upside down just to reach it better. So I was looking at it upside down. I'm like, I don't understand the sky. It's because it's not a sky. That's a chandelier. The only thing I'm not completely happy with is it looks like she doesn't have any facial features whatsoever. But her head is turned. She's looking towards down the center. And so if you see, you can see eyelashes there on the edge of her face. So I don't know. Should I leave it as it is, or should I try to make her eye more defined, or give her like a little crook of her mouth so you can see a little bit there? She's got, her mouth is just backstitching. That's the only, and it's backstitching in the same mauve that her dress is in, backstitched in. So, that's the only reason she has a mouth is, and some of this backstitching in their faces is over 1. So really teeny tiny little backstitches make up their faces. So that is A Summer Ball. I will not be working on that again until January for the bookshelf challenge in Full Coverage Fanatics. In January, we're doing the classics, or there's Fancy Ladies, and because I'm trying to be what's the word? Not extra, but yeah, that works. I'm trying to, even though I'm doing the counting option, I'm trying to match the theme as well, at least on one of the books. So I will be working on A Summer Ball starting in January for that. So that's the next time you'll see that. And then I picked up Big Red Ship of Life to finish up page 8, which is the last page in the second row. So Big Red Ship of Life by Ink Circles, and I just had to finish up down here, this section. Make sure I didn't set this up. That was, so I did it in a day and a half. 1,000 stitches was all I had left. So there you go. There's the entire piece. Again, this is just over half the design. And bring you up closer to where I worked. All I did was I brought the rest of this border down, and I did this. So this little thing and that animal here, and I brought this down and those two little stars. So it wasn't much at all. Day and a half, I got that done. So in December, I will start back over here, page 9 for the third row. This is 28 count MCG Textiles Mushroom Even Weave. And I'm trying to do one page every 3 months. I got myself a little bit ahead, which is good. We could move from here as early as 3 years time on station, or it might be 4 years. I don't know. So in this next year, I could either still be doing the 4 years, or if we get orders all of a sudden, come like the spring, summertime, then I might be rushing to finish that piece. We'll have to see. So after that, I finished that page on Friday the 13th, right before lunch. And I totally didn't think about the fact that it was Friday the 13th, but I knew that I wanted to get all my monthly rotation done. But Anne of Fiber Floss and Fiction Podcast, she's like, oh, you're working on Templar for Friday the 13th, right? Yeah, that's exactly what I meant. That's exactly why I'm picking up Templar. So I picked up Templar. I already had it on the Q-Snap. I was already planning on working on it, forgetting that it was Friday the 13th. So I have these 2 pages done, and I was starting down here. Long Dog Samplers. I have to... There we go. I put in, so the end of second half of Friday the 13th and the first... Oh, I didn't stitch that much on Saturday. That's why. It felt like 2 half days going into this. But that's because we were busy on Saturday. So I only put 800 stitches into it. So that's the whole piece so far. Again, this fabric is 32 count. I always forget what the fabric is. 32 count Lugana Silvery Moon, which is like DMC 762. And I'm using the unmarked bobbins that I got from Sue's stash. And so what I did, to get closer, I had this border down to here. So everything from my finger that way is what I did. So I did more of this border, the bunny. I don't know if this was, he looks like a fox more than a coyote. And started on the tree, and I took the border all the way over. About here is where the page ends, I believe. So 800 stitches for this one for November. And then, okay, I've got everything I needed to get done in November done. So it's time, the whole rest of the year, besides my monthly rotations again on those 2 pieces, the whole rest of the year is going to be shooting for all the rest of the goals, my personal goals on whips that have not been met yet. So I put Star Wars on the Q-Snap, and I already had page 1 done and 800 stitches of black into page 2. Page 2, so pretty much you're going to see Han's blaster and his arm and hand down here, and the very tip top of C-3PO's head. So I have put in, and I didn't do my addition, just under 2,000 black stitches yesterday and today, since I've already started working on it today. So there you go. You can see this is where his blaster is going to be. And this space is where the shading is going to start to get into 3PO's head. And so there's more black I have yet to do down here for the bottom of the blaster and his hand and arm. And then I'll start filling in the rest of the colors. So, and once I get my second page done on this, then I'll be done with this one. I don't plan on working on this for a week straight. You know, I want to have more than just one piece to show you next video. So I will probably also work on Witchy Tea Time to put more black in on that one. So a lot of dark colors. And I'm going to probably pick up the 52 Weeks of Blackwork sale. And I'll just keep looking at my list of whips and which ones haven't met their goals. And I'll just keep working on them. Again, my only full coverage goals that have not been met are this one and Kindred Spirits by Jody Bergsma. I have a page I'll be doing next month in December on that one. So for the rest of my whips, let's see, I'll just run down real quickly. Witchy Tea Time, the Four Seasons sale, which is a modern folk embroidery, the Quaker sale. I was supposed to get the winter quadrant done, and I have hardly worked on that one this year. The Santa sampler by Cooler Design Studios. I wanted to get 4 Santas done, and all the cross stitches on the first Santa is done, but I haven't backstitched it yet, so I still have 3 Santas and backstitching to do. Yep. So those are the goals I'll be working at, plus, you know, the familiar sale once 1 December comes along. Yeah. So we will keep working ahead on those. Now, the rest of the stitching, I keep forgetting every single time. I even wrote myself a note. A summer ball is charted in Anchor. I am stitching it in Anchor. It's the only piece I'm working with in Anchor, and I keep forgetting to say that, yes, it is an Anchor piece. I have my own little floss box with my Anchor in there. I think the only DMC I'm using is white, just because I did get the 403, the Anchor Black, to try it out, and I can tell you that it is thicker than DMC 310. So take that for what it's worth. But her other piece that I stitched, the Victorian Christmas Eve, I did use the DMC conversion for that one. So whatever you want to do, if you want to stitch any of her panoramic designs. But I definitely wanted to give Anchor a try with this one, and I have no complaints over it whatsoever. Let's see, get back to my notes. If you want to join Full Coverage Fanatics, I did request that people who talk about this in their videos remind folks that we do have 3 questions to answer when you request to join the group. You will not be approved to join the group unless you answer those questions. If you get disapproved, go ahead, because you know you didn't see the questions or didn't know how to answer the questions. Go ahead and you can request again to join the group and answer those questions, and you can get in. So if you're recommending our group to anybody, please just tell them there are 3 join questions, and you will not be approved unless you answer those. The only haul that I have is I decided to try out one of the variety packs of Sulky. This is 12 weight, which is supposed to be the equivalent of using 2 strands of floss. If you go on Amazon, they have a bunch of different color packages like this. There's one for each season. There's neutrals. There's their most popular. There's one that's all blended, so all like variegated. But like some of the season ones, you can tell this one, the second one in there, is a variegated. So if you want to try, it's like $10 or less, depending on which color scheme you want to try. So I decided to go with the autumn colors on that one. And every single year I show this. This is 3 years now that I have kept all my orts. And I started keeping them because I bought a lamp. And so once a year I show you my progress on my ort lamp to show how full it is. If this is still available from Target, I will put a link in the description. When I originally bought it, it was available in 2 sizes. This is the larger size. So this is 3 years worth of orts. Ort stands for old ratty threads, or the little whatever's left every time you cut your thread. And this has been compressed and pushed down. So you can see there's a lot of black in there for all the black pieces I've been working on. Trick or Treat, Odin, Star Wars, Witchy Tea Time. Let's see, where's this light section right here? That's what I just took out of the anchor box from a summer ball. So some of these other ones, it's fun to look at the bottom too. So there's my my ort lamp. I did buy the shade separately, so it comes just the lamp with the fixture, and you have to provide your own lampshade. So there's your yearly update on my ort lamp. I put this on my bedside table. But you could put it anywhere. You could put it in the living room and make it a conversation piece. Alright, that is all my stitching content. Next we have Life Update and Air Force Stories. So if you're not interested in that, thank you for joining me. We'll see you next week. Okay, it was an eventful week down in Louisiana where my horse Spencer had a dressage show on Saturday. My friend, who's, she's a horse trainer, so she competes in the open division. She drove down there on Friday. Her and her student, who's 18 years old, and her horse. So she had Spencer, her student's horse, and then her 5-year-old mare that she's been showing as well. So 3 horses drove down. She has a gooseneck trailer where she's converted the front half, the tack room, if you will, into a like living quarters with minimum essentials. There's a place to take a shower at the showground, so she just needed like a camp toilet and a bed and insulation and all that. Plus it's Louisiana, it's still warm down there. They're still showing in shirt sleeves. She drove down there Friday and everything was fine, rode the horses. They had a restaurant, or someone had gone to pick up catered food from a restaurant and taken it to the barn for competitors to eat from. So it was a Italian, spaghetti, salad, that kind of thing. So that's what she had for dinner Friday. And I didn't hear about it until afterwards. Spencer had, in dressage, you're given exact times to ride your test because it's one horse in the arena at a time. So his ride times were 7:15 and like 7:35. And so I didn't hear from my friend. She didn't text me at all until after his rides, and she had an hour between his rides and her 5-year-old mare's rides. So just enough time to, go back to the barn, tack up the other horse, go out and start warming up to be ready for the mare's rides. She sent me a text that Spencer did really well, and but she felt like shit because she had been throwing up since 4 a.m. and Spencer babysat her. And then I had to wait. I had to wait another hour and a half to hear more, to hear what happened. Certainly if I had known that she wasn't feeling well, despite, whether or not my money would have been refunded, I would have told her, don't bother showing my horse. But yeah, she showed him, and in the first test, like, he took care of her. Spencer is the kind of horse where he can tell the skill level of the rider. So you can put a kid up on him and he's not going to pull any tricks. But if you put someone experienced, he's going to pull every trick that he knows. So he didn't try any tricks. He did take care of her. But in the extended canter part of the first test, so, and I meant to show you a picture, but you're in a rectangular ring, and the dressage rail only is about a foot tall from the ground. And down the long side of the rectangle, you're in a collected canter, and then you extend, so almost a gallop, like you're moving. You got to show clear change of speed, and then before you hit the next corner, you got to collect again. And she doesn't know exactly what happened, but Spencer fell down pretty much to his knees. He had ended up with dirt from the arena all over him, but then somehow recovered, got back into the canter, but in the wrong lead. He did a flying lead change in the corner to get back on the correct lead, and then went down the center line like he's supposed to, down to a trot and halt at X in the middle to finish this test. Now, this was the first test. As soon as she was done and had saluted, the judge is like, "Are you okay?" And my friend's like, I don't know what happened. So she left the arena and rode him around some more to make sure that he was good. He wasn't lame. He wasn't limping at all. So she rode the second test just fine. And but then when she left the ring, left the sandy footing onto the grass and hard ground, he started limping. So she got off, because she normally rides him back to the barn, but she got off. And once she was off and they were leading him back, he was fine. He wasn't limping. And keep in mind, she's sick. She was throwing up on the mounting block before she got on the horse. So she rode her second horse. The student rode. They loaded up the horses, got him back home, and she is doing better. Still, it's not COVID. We know it's not COVID. It sounded like food poisoning, but no one else got sick. She's still recovering, but doing better. Spencer is limping on and off, but he is due for a break anyways, so we will keep an eye on him. So that is the life update for Spencer. I only have a few minutes for the Air Force story. So last week, a Distinguished Flying Cross was awarded to, I think he's a major now. He was a captain that was assigned to the Michigan Air National Guard for a specific occurrence that happened 3 years ago. So some of these higher level awards and medals take a long time to award. So that's why, he's being awarded just last week for something he did 3 years ago. And what happened 3 years ago, he flies the A-10, which I will show you pictures of the A-10. But they were doing some strafing runs. So the A-10 has this enormous 30mm gun. And pretty much the plane was designed around the gun. The main purpose of the A-10 is close air support. In other words, if you have troops on the ground that are in a firefight, you call the A-10s in and they do strafing runs and get rid of the enemy so that your troops are no longer under fire. So the plane was designed around the gun. So this 4-ship of A-10s in July 2017 was doing strafing runs to practice shooting their guns. And this guy, Captain DeVries, was in the middle of a strafing run and his gun misfired. And at that same second that his gun misfired, his canopy flew off, ejected, as it's designed to when you pull the handles and eject. So he was immediately experienced the 325 knot winds and just like slammed back that much wind with nothing to guard you. And his wingman didn't see the canopy fly off, but he saw like this big donut of gas as the misfire occurred, and he saw that this damaged jet, the pilot had started to climb immediately, because you're doing a strafing round like this, you got to point the plane down. The gun is not the gun is not like steerable, aimable. So you got to shoot like this. So you're shooting like this, and as you're doing that, the misfire, the canopy goes off, and you're dazed. So the first thing you do, even though you can't see anything, is pull back on that stick and get some altitude. So his wingman came in underneath him to do a battle damage assessment to figure out what had happened. And he saw the bottom of the airplane where the gun was completely damaged. So they started brainstorming because the problem, let me just show you an A10 so you can visualize this. The problem when you don't have your canopy with the A10 design is, unlike like the F-16, F-15, whose engines are in front of the cockpit or even with the cockpit and below the fuselage, the A10, the engines are above and behind the cockpit. So we have, the aircrew carries all kinds of emergency checklists, but without a canopy and 325 knot winds blowing at you, you can't pull out paper, even though it's, in page protectors, and you can't pull that out because the wind is just going to blow it, and it could potentially blow out and into your engine and cause damage to your engines. So he couldn't even pull out his checklist. Now his wingman, this is not the exact airplanes, but his wingman could read off the checklist to him and they could brainstorm together. So he ended up flying 25 minutes back to the runway, and he landed on his belly with no canopy. Now, they did try to put the gear down, but the nose landing gear, which is right under the cockpit, couldn't extend all the way because of the damage to the bottom of the airplane. Now, something I've told you about an A-10 belly landing before down at Moody in Georgia, and it landed successfully. What I didn't understand, because I've never worked A-10s, is their main landing gear. You see those tires poking out? That gear is up. It's all the way up, and the wheels still protrude. So, as long as the plane doesn't have any missiles or bombs on its stations, you can belly land with the gear up, and you're still going to hit the tires first. So, belly landing without a nose gear, you can still set the body of the airplane down, and it's going to coast most of the way on those tires, even though they're not down, before you can slow down enough and set it down on its nose. So A-10's really a cool airplane to be able to land that way without much damage. So this is the actual guy, the actual jet. What he did is he lowered the ejection seat as much as he could to try to hide behind the windscreen in front of him. But then, of course, you also, doing that, you narrow your field of vision. So, let's see. So this is what he looked like. So you can see that's the only protection he had from the wind, is trying to duck beneath that. And you can see the top of his ejection seat. He did not eject because they didn't know if the ejection seat would have been damaged in the misfire, just like the canopy was obviously damaged and triggered. So, and again, you see those engines. So if anything had come out of the cockpit, it could have potentially FOD'd out. Foreign object damage, FOD'd out those engines. So, let me show you. This is a drawing to show you the gun of the A-10. So only this much sticks out, the nose of the airplane, but it is completely underneath the cockpit. So if there's a misfire in here, if one of those bullets, which is about this long, if that bullet misfires in here, it could potentially damage anything in the fuselage. So that's how the canopy ended up blowing off, and he didn't know if he could eject. Now, to give you a size comparison, here is the gun outside the airplane next to a Volkswagen Beetle. So you can see how enormous that gun system is compared to a car. Let's see, I think that's all the pictures I have. Yeah. So, that is why he earned a Distinguished Flying Cross for extraordinary flying, pretty much, to save the jet. I was not able to determine if they repaired the jet and if it's back in service. But that's your Air Force story for the day. I know some of you I'm talking to you, Julie, are, you know, kind of freaked out with all these incidences and aircraft damage, but I also think it's cool because I'm not talking about any of the crashes or any incidents where people die. I'm only talking about successful landings, save the airplane. So that's your Air Force story. The last thing I'm going to say, this is especially for my mom because I know she watches my videos. I've been, you know, another thing about 2020, I'm either getting more gray hair or it's just getting brighter because of the shampoo I switched to. But you can see more up here. But if you go like this, I'm getting gray hair all down here too. Which, it doesn't bother me, but it's something to note. The shampoo I'm using does say it removes buildup, so that's probably why it sticks out more. So, kind of funny. Thanks 2020 for more gray hair. Doesn't bother me. It's like natural highlights. Every time I get my hair cut, they're like, your gray hair is so cool, the way it's, how it's just naturally situated in your hair. Anyways, everybody have a good stitching week, and we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.